What's up, guys? This is the Fullstack bro coming at you with another video today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why failure is a game changer. Now, when you fail, it's the worst feeling, right? Like you feel like you've let not only yourself down, but others down as well. And when it comes to your job or a personal goal that you try to hit and you didn't hit that goal, definitely is going to take a hit on you and your confidence. And the way to go about this, honestly, is to learn from those experiences and try to not make the same mistakes again and just get 1% better every day. Just taking it day by day and living in the present will help you with that. And just understanding that it is what it is. Things are not perfect when it comes to you and what you want to do. You're going to have some setbacks. It's not going to go the perfect route, right? And I mean, there's a lot of inspirational quotes and images of how if you don't stay consistent and if you don't push forward, how you could be this close to getting the results that you want, but you put it in your mind that you can't get there, and it's going to cause you to be discouraged, and you're just going to throw that goal to the wayside and not even think about it. Today, as a software developer, as a full stack developer, I really want to give you guys just a peace of mind in terms of like failure and give you a story about how I dealt with failure. I'll just talk about this story real quick. As a up and coming software engineer, I was working for a company as a web developer, was there managing their website, server, everything. All the infrastructure I had to learn on my own. Understanding like how to do migrations from like a staging environment to a production environment. I wanted to move on to something more complex to push me into a different stratosphere. The goal for me was to jump into software development. I got into QA. I understood everything about, the software engineering lifecycle, like how we're documenting things, fixing things, and creating features. At the time, everything was in C# and we were using MySQL. When I got to the software development side, I jumped in to become a front-end software developer at first, which the basis of that was React.js. It was definitely an eye-opener for me because as I was doing front-end development, as I was like working with, at the time, I think we were using class-based components. That's when I thought I knew everything. I thought I understood how to create components, how properties were used, the life cycle of an application in React using class-based components. Thought I could do all that. But then one day, we had a hackathon, a 24-hour hackathon. This is the first ever in the company. This hackathon opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I was on a team where I had to like focus on the front end, and you're like a drag and drop feature that allows you to pull in cards and then connect them via this third-party library. I forget what it was called, but it allowed you to drag and drop a node onto the page and then connect those two together. And then what should have happened was a modal would have popped up and it would have gave you additional questions and options to create an integration connector. So essentially the product that we were proposing was an integration connector between all of our current products. Single page application with a dashboard of what's going on for each individual product. When I tell you that was the most humbling experience for me, I really thought that I knew what I was doing as a front-end engineer. I had no clue. I had no clue how to go about solving problems correctly. I had no clue about figuring out how to create properties within a feature. So when you're using React, you can actually push properties into a component so where that component will process it. I didn't have the basic understanding of that. In hindsight, to me now, very easy to do. Before, I was like really struggling. So I had to rely on other developers on a team that already finished their work to help me get this done. I knew I had to figure out a way to learn the best practices of creating components and understanding how to solve complex problems. So what I did, invested in a course on Udemy in React. It was React in Redux. And every single day after work, I would go through that course and learn as much as I can. and the instructor would update the course with different things. This is before Redux Toolkit, which simplifies setting up React Redux for state management. And you don't have to write a bunch of boilerplate code and all that stuff. Everything is already done for you in Toolkit. And it makes it easier just to kind of create the state that you want and use it within your application using the power of custom hooks in functional components. I then became more well-versed in the back end using C# in MySQL. Whenever something was given to me to do, I made sure I got it done. And I started to build more confidence. I started to think that I already have the skills. I just have to put it to work, and I just need to be challenged in the way to build and iterate over time. If you're trying to be a software engineer or a front-end developer or try to jump into tech space, that is possible. And you're going to run into failure, and you're going to fail multiple times. You're going to fail to the point where it's going to be debilitating. But changing your mindset to learn from those experiences and start to have a growth mindset to where you could start building and iterating and taking on problems as they come, that's going to make you better. So first things first, based off of my story, learning and growing is number one. Okay. Learning and growing from your past experiences and building off that. Now, getting hands-on experience definitely helps. If you're working with real world problems and you're trying to solve those real world problems, you're going to be pushed to a point where you have to think outside the box and start building and start trying different things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to reinvent the wheel. It basically means that you need to do research and understand if there's a particular problem that someone else has faced that you're trying to solve, that you could pull from that and try to apply it to what you're trying to accomplish. And not having this mindset of, I can't solve this, because you do have the means to solve it. You just have to find the right answer. But as long as you are able to solve that problem in the moment, that's all that matters. And not have this victim mindset that you can't do it. So you have to identify your weaknesses in certain scenarios. Now, if you're working on a project solo and you don't really have the means to communicate well as to what your plan is, that's something that you need to work on. If you don't understand algorithms, then you need to look into algorithms. If you don't understand functional components in React or how to create a stored procedure in MySQL, you have to learn that. You have to, as a developer, you have to learn. If you can't learn and grow and get things done by, learning things on the side and then applying it, trust me, you're not going to make it as a developer. You're just not. You have to really have that grind mindset to whatever problem comes your way. You're going to learn, you're going to apply, and you're going to solve that problem and test. The second thing is, when it comes to failure, it makes you more creative. Perfect example for me, there was a project that I was working on, did a lot of tech planning and figuring out what to do. And then come to find out, no one was really using the feature that I worked on. It sucked because it is a lot of time that you spent building something, and the only thing you could do is just say it is what it is. What I've learned from that project is how to be more creative and ask the right questions. To this day, I ask more questions around what needs to be done than just seeing what's already there and just executing and doing it. Because usually what happens is things are not correct and you have to question everything. You need to make sure that you have all the tools, right? All the building materials that you need to get this done. And having that communication mindset where you're asking the right questions, you're looking at the requirements from a business standpoint and getting the right answers, that's going to make you better. The third thing that I want to hit home here is, every time you fail, you're building resilience. You're building a better mindset. You're going from not being able to do something to being very capable of doing it and doing it better than you did before. If you're playing a video game, right? You're playing a video game on the hardest difficulty and you keep losing. You're failing every single time to get past a particular boss or particular level. And you're pushing past those limits and strategizing as to how to go about getting past this hurdle. And this is what you need to do as a developer. Your resilience when it comes to building features and working on complex problems is what's going to help you be more grounded and more confident. There are some projects that are very discouraging. When you look at it from like a bird's eye view, wow, I have to do a lot of this work. If you prioritize what's important, what's the most important things that needs to get done first, everything else will fall in line. It will be easy enough to get done. So having that mindset to where you're never going to give up, you're going to stay consistent, and you're going to figure out and be creative to build something that will make it easier for you to get things done. It's going to help you adapt. Another thing is it prepares you for the real world. As a developer that codes, you have to figure out what algorithms am I going to use to make this better. What's going to be more efficient from a performance standpoint, and then how users are going to be using this feature or this page or whatever. Having that mindset to where you're thinking about it from a business case, right? A user using the app, and then you actually coding out a workflow to get that done. That's going to help you become more confident. And then if you fail with the workflow, say, for example, you got the first iteration of a project that you're working on, and the workflow itself is not as efficient, you can learn from that and refactor it and make it better. You're going to be more prepared for unpredictable outcomes. And if things were to fail, then you'll be able to figure out a solution to the problem. So, failure in itself is lessons that you need to take in. It's confidence that builds over time, and you're going to be discouraged the first time you fail. And if you keep failing, obviously you got to look at something that you're doing and learn from those mistakes. As you start to progress as a developer, you're going to notice these failures, and the only ones that are going to make it a big deal is yourself. You're going to think that you let a lot of people down, but honestly, thinking like, okay, I made a mistake. It is what it is. Like I'll bounce back from it. Just having that mindset to where, like, the more you put yourself out there in certain situations, you're going to make yourself better. You're going to get better at solving problems, and you're just going to be well-rounded in different scenarios and just be a better person overall. That's the video. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know how you guys are dealing with failure. If there's anything that you need help with, you can reach out to me at Gmail, thefullstackbro@gmail.com. We'll talk soon.